Abusuya makwaba by the POG political media and so now say trans area that is on my Ghana political headlines ni bi na yanzu yansa ka na say da abesum POG abedwafo na monsuma hu de eko ne de eba na mehye say na edi kan na obadwumadi so a ene de ekwa so abedwo post subscription e ma POG no I see notification bell no say the once so bes me ka daily updates no na wa share na yebo e de ran yin sim na chese yebo era enrada nsɛm bi a kyerɛ sɛ yɛwura Dr. Nkrumah ne ba Sekou Nkrumah nso de bɛto dwa ɛfa CJ tokonu ne removal ho nsɛnsɛm a kyerɛ sɛ amanfoɔ so di ho nkɔmmɔ ɛne ne letter a wasa de akɔdan Supreme Court sɛ ɔnsan bra or ɔmo nsan reinstate no as the judge of Supreme Court ɛne ho nsɛnsɛm na nkɔmmɔ a odi fa ho na kyerɛ sɛ ɔno nso de ne support nso de ma yɛwura John Dramani Mahama ma la support or the man na original constitution no so say amambra na che say no so and this out to me no e dey share you John Drama Mahama nsa no our so dams out to me so e dey petitions e dey free various group of people ho and so ejina mra kwan so e dey maame get you toku no na free office one no so for the way I also to me using the power e dey Mame CJ Tokono at the free office. I was your man, Jepe, ya boy, and Sama, Dr.Sekou Nkrumah, and so at the two job.
So there are always possibilities in politics.
Okay, let's talk about Ghana's judiciary. Recently, the whole judicial structure has come under scrutiny, allegations of political interference with the removal of the former Chief Justice. What's your opinion about what's happening with our political structure and our judiciary?
I think that was just purely the NDC had this agenda to remove the CJ, and I think they also have in mind to remove the EC boss, but I hope that doesn't come because even with this CJ, the whole thing looks untidy. But amazing that we can go back to the legacy of Nkrumah. He was the first to take out or remove a Chief Justice when he wasn't happy with the outcome of the trial, the Korongugu, when he was bombed in Korongugu, and apparently there were CPP elements as well, Adama Fiu, Akwaji, I think the third person that I keep on forgetting his name. So Nkrumah was not happy with the verdict, so kicked out the CJ, brought another one, and then the verdict was overturned. So these are the things, and then I think we've had several of them after that. I think this CJ will be the fourth or fifth, I'm not too sure. But here's the point. So, you see, because we failed to analyze, but you see, even at the time, the point is that Nkrumah, I understand, as I was saying earlier, he was building that all-powerful figure to dominate, rule, and take us to where we need to go. In today's Ghana, we don't have that. So, the agenda of the NDC that they don't like the CJ, they don't like the way she behaved, the way she talked, even her facial expression and so on. I think was neither here nor there. But the point is that, so what is it, the agenda they had? Is it because, like, let's say these corruption charges against MPP, people who were in power during the MPP regime who have corruption charges against them, does it mean they felt that, oh, if now they take this whole matter to court, then she will be an obstacle? So we need to remove her. So that maybe is linked to the oral and all this whole thing. But if it is so, then again, what happens to independence of the judiciary and then the arms of government to be independent?
This administration argues that she went through the process, the committee found her guilty as charged, and they let her go.
Fine, but those charges didn't seem to stick, not for me. They didn't look like serious charges to merit her removal. But you see, the point is that they did remove her because they had an agenda. And if it is that to deal with the corruption, she was an obstacle. But the point is that we have a constitution that I think the president has too much power. So this is something we need to now think about. Why is the presidency or the president has so much power in a multi-party system of democracy that we have? So we go back to history again. It was tailored to fit Rawlings. That transition was a very difficult one. Because Rawlings here was a brutal military head of state. People were scared of him, scared of And those who dared to challenge they really faced the music. So now that transition was not easy. So they had to find a way of making that the constitution to fit him for his own survival. So I remember I voted against the 1992 in the referendum constitution, and my problem was with the indemnity clause. I didn't see how the indemnity clause should protect crimes made by people in the PNDC, leaders in the PNDC or whatever. I mean, if you commit a crime, you're supposed to face the consequences. But the indemnity clause protected them. I wasn't confident. But that was maybe one little bit, and then maybe I should have thought of the whole picture. But of course, majority of Ghanaians voted for the constitution. And why, when I talked to those leaders in opposition then, because I was then part of the movement for freedom and justice, a lot of them felt that, yeah, let's move on so that they lift the ban on political party activities, we form our parties and so on. So even to the extent of when some of us said, okay, so even now when there's this change and the ban is lifted, let's all of us who are in opposition to Rawlings and PNDC, let us form one political party. So it will not be about the UP and the CPP anymore of the past. It will be about contemporary politics. Those who liked what Rawlings was doing during the revolutionary era and those who did not like. So they didn't, and they went ahead and back to the old NDC and CPP and MPP, UP politics. And MPP then benefited, because what happened is that all those who didn't like Rawlings and the PNDC or were victim went to the MPP, because that was the strongest one that emerged. And if you also add the philosophy of the MPP, the UP tradition, I think it also suited the times too.
So you feel that our constitution should be amended to ensure that we take away the powers of the president?
Yeah, I mean, weaken it to a large extent. But you see, again, what are we? We've embraced the multi-party system of democracy. So we have to go by the rules of the multi-party system of democracy. We can't, as they say, you can't have your cake and eat it too, right?
Yeah, you can eat your cake and have it.
No, it's not.
Okay, that's the biggest concern for most people watching. Most young people do not believe in Ghana as a country. We're seeing mass exodus of a lot of individuals from different fields. The medical doctors are complaining, the nurses are complaining, people are leaving this country. How do you think we can fix that? How do we raise a group of young people who still believe in Ghana and Africa?
Yeah, so the only way to fix this is to create the opportunities here, so people are not tempted or interested in going outside. So if I can be in Ghana, even if I don't go to the university, even if I drop out of school, but there are factories I can work in. I can probably work in one or two factories, or there are a lot of supermarkets or shops like they have in the West where they employ so many people for different things. So once there are so many services, so many factories and so on, then people, why would I go to hustle to go to America or Europe when I can work here and earn that good living? So we have to create those things. So going back to Nkrumah, yes, he felt as a socialist state, the social direction, the state will build all these industries and so on. But we even abandoned them. So after the coup, there was no need. We could have continued with them. Because also, when you start, it can be perfect. It's a process. So you improve all the time. Because some of the critique against Nkrumah's factory and so on was that they were not really running at a loss and all that. But the point is that you start from somewhere and build on it. So you have a manufacturing base, creating all kinds of things. I mean, those days, even matches. We had a match factory that now we're importing. That doesn't make any sense. So instead of going forward, we are going backwards. So, and not to talk the meat factory in the north, the rubber factory in the west. So strategically, the glass factory here or there. So you see, that's how it would have developed. Unfortunately, if Nkrumah had stayed longer, we would have seen those things, the fruits of his labor. But unfortunately, he didn't. And we abandoned that, all that. And yeah, I mean, we could have gotten rid of Nkrumah, but at least continued with his development projects. We didn't have the wisdom to do that. So now we don't have. So yeah, how do you stop a young person from thinking that, oh, if I can have a better life elsewhere, why would I suffer here?
Let's talk about corruption, because this is of concern to me and most young people watching. Nkrumah actually had challenges with that, allegations that he was a corrupt leader. Now this administration has set up something they call oral, just to check some of the excesses of the previous administration, all targeted at dealing with corruption.
It seems it's going to sleep.
Oral has gone to sleep?
I think so. But let's go back to the Nkrumah era.
Oh, okay. But I was quite interested in your assessment of oral.
Are we hearing what is going on with oral?
Tell me your assessment of oral.
No, I mean, it started, but I don't see what is happening with oral. I haven't heard anything. So going back to Nkrumah, there were a lot of corrupt ministers. And then corruption, this 10%, they used to call it. So if there's yeah, so I guess the corruption started from then. But that was our first government. But it was a bit strange and interesting. You had ministers that Nkrumah fired. There was a Dawn broadcast. I'm not so sure about the year. I remember people like Kojo Botsu and others were fired, but they found a way back to government. There were other cases of the golden bed, if you remember, Koboduse and so on. I mean, those were scandals. But it went even beyond the gold bed. Some had 20, I will not mention names, but some had 20 proper houses in Accra, and people know those also.
And we're still battling with that today, where individuals are owning state land.
Correct. But Nkrumah did not have even a single house. No Swiss bank account or anything. Stolen Ghana money. And here was somebody who was, and that's the thing that I respect in many ways, that whatever his political mistakes were, when it comes to Nkrumah, the politician, the leader, the president, and so on, he was not a corrupt person. So that legacy. So I don't mind. I mean, we struggled with that because we practically had nothing. And the state was just taking care of us. And it was not always easy, as I said earlier. But the thing is that I respect that. And I understood as from being a child that this is the sacrifice he made, and this is a sacrifice we also, who carry his name, have to make too. And that's the thing. Some
like you made a message sobre drop like na so subscribe to a POG political media and the enobo calls so abedropo subscription now also share no for so answer so at me aka one so who the echo and the urban na oh my god and na so subscribe still a message sobre drop subscription no bet me so I slide into the comment section or that was waiting me edin come on and some be brain na Doctor, editing me too, no can send me ready for a the galamsey and a corruption, I say, and also upon a MPP, who I say, even so, etimi, Addo a year, my message, my metoku, no, I say, Namso, Edema, a year, John Dramani, Mahama, a Jinani Pakubi, a petition on the banner, catch it as in free at your office. May I say better so near JM&How.
Good things in life come with a big sacrifice.
Do you think we can even deal with corruption as a country?
We can, if there's a political will and people are punished. So I'm going back. So we had, once upon a time, we had a revolution, in quotes, in this country, right? But what happened? A lot of things that were supposed to change. Corruption now, under, you remember the Kalabuli, Champon days and all those, I don't want to, there's some other words that was used to, which I wouldn't want to say. And it became a mess. So they came in, people were killed. We had 3 heads of state killed, the firing squad. And then in total there were 8 senior officials in government. And what happened? Corruption is now worse than it was. But again, there are some issues that we've also swept under the carpet. And they're very ugly. But the truth is, even the leadership of the PNDC, NDC. There are a lot of, I don't know if to use the word allegation now, but I think it goes beyond allegation. There are state properties, factories, or whatever you want to call it, that they bought themselves. And I'm saying a lot of Ghanaians are aware of some of these things, but we pretend it is fine. You see, and the hypocrisy in our, I wouldn't even say politics, because it has to go beyond politics. There's hypocrisy in our life now as Ghanaians, that I think we need to deal with, because it looks like we don't want to say things that we know it's wrong, because we feel then, oh, this person will, you are confronting that person, or maybe they wouldn't like it. But I mean, if we want to deal with corruption, then corruption, those guilty of corruption have to be dealt with, whether from the top or the bottom. So if somebody who...
In spite of their political colors?
Political colors, and in spite of their political position too. So if a head of state or whatever is found guilty, at some point he has to also face the music. So there are cases of all these people. So if the leader of the revolution can betray the revolution, then what moral right then does he have? But even when he's gone, we also still cannot, we have not even addressed his legacy.
What's your opinion about the National Cathedral? It's been criticized as one of the most expensive whole.
Yeah, and totally unnecessary. I don't think, I mean, we should be building factories. I mean, Kolebu is not in very great shape, so, or a hospital, or something that serves the interests of people. I don't think going to a place we are going to pray or celebrate is a necessity to put that kind of money. No, if it's a private person who wants to put it up, then that's fine. But if it's the government, and then the government should not, it's not a business of government to be chasing money to build the National Cathedral. Then they should chase money to build a dam, like Nkrumah built the Sumbo Dam, or something that can live for years and will benefit from years, but not something. So, I mean, in Côte d'Ivoire, the first president built a similar thing that is in his hometown or whatever. People argue it's for tourism and so on, but I don't think that argument holds for Ghana, and totally unnecessary. And somehow, shockingly, people supported it. You don't understand, but you see, that's the politician. They play with people's sentiments sometimes, religious. Or
some people feel that the board of directors should be sanctioned because of how bad the project turned out.
We don't do any of that. So sometimes people do serious crimes or wrong, let's put it that way, and they are not punished for it. So it empowers other people to continue doing the wrong thing. And I mean, many of us growing then into the era of June 4, December 5th, we thought that was going to be the end of all this corruption. But it's, as I was saying earlier, it's even worse now than it was then. So something was wrong. And what was wrong? I think, again, the leadership betrayed the revolution. The leadership didn't build the capacity to understand what it means to have a revolution. And even if it's a revolution, then we've had, in China, they've had revolution and so on, but it stretched for many, many, many years. And that's why China can stand tall today. But in 10 years, that's clearly not enough. But I'm saying, again, it shows our weakness as a country. Or the leadership, weakness of our leadership that we produce. They can't hold on to anything. And if there's pressure from outside, then you easily give up and then lose sight of the fact that you are there to lead Ghanaians, improve the lives of Ghanaians, and create that wealth society for Ghanaians. Again, going back to the legacy of Nkrumah, yes, he tried to do that and was strong about it, but of course, he ran into a brick wall where the forces, Western forces, were obviously stronger than him, and he was removed. And since then, I think we have, and that's something to really chew on, because since Nkrumah was removed, Ghana has never been the Ghana that, the potential that Ghana had to really grow and develop, ever since has not really been there. So maybe, if anything, celebrating today, a day that is specially made for Nkrumah, I think we should think of how we can have another Nkrumah, somebody who can bring that spirit back and make Ghana a better place.
How about you? Are you willing to take up that tax?
No, I can't. I haven't built the capacity, and I don't. I'm someone who doesn't pretend. I know. I mean, I can help. If I identify with somebody, a leader who wants to take us to the promised land, I'll be there to help in my own way. But I can never pretend to be a leader. I can never pretend to be Nkrumah. In fact, it's something I've always struggled being. I mean, yeah, it's extraordinary. But I've coped with it in my own way. I'm very simple, very calm.
The stories now is day 2 of Democracy Hub protest on illegal mining. The group marched from Shiashi all the way to Jubilee House in a move that seeks to force President John Dramani Mahama to scale up government's fight against illegal mining. The protesters say the menace is damaging Ghana's ecological space. There's more in this report by my colleague Kwekwa Sante.
People, known faces, affects the country. You see there, Oliver Akufo and a number of people who are already getting ready for today's march to happen. You see a number of police officers already here and getting ready for this protest to happen. Let me see if I can stick to Oliver Akufo. So what is going to happen today from here to Jubilee House? What exactly is the plan?
So the thinking is, we always say that the protest is explained as you're moving from point A to point B. That's it. It's a walk, but it's the most significant walk you can endeavor on. So that's what we're going to do. We are going to walk. And that's what we're going to be doing, raising attention to the issues that we've been talking about consistently.
Will you present a petition at Jubilee House?
Oh, no.
Because I know you have been averse to presenting petitions in the past protests.
We don't do petitions. I think that our petition, our voice on the streets, those who want to understand the issue can join us. We've been writing and talking about this issue consistently, that the positions are clear enough, and so we don't perform.
Yesterday, before you arrived, Mustafa Bande had come in to try and convince the protesters to disperse because he believed that there will be other avenues to communicate with government. What do you make of that? And there was, of course, some rebuttals from certain elements within the government telling him that that should not have happened. What did you make of that?
Listen, I think for me the most important thing is the shift that we have seen over the past few weeks. You know, we fought for almost 4 years about the citizens' right to petition their seat of government, to stand there and raise their voices. We've seen that. Now nobody was raising any concerns. The president is out of the country. It's a different change of environment. So if today what we are contending with is the government official coming to tell people, stop it, I think that we've made progress. Maybe tomorrow they will understand and join the protest, but I think the progress is being made.
Let me speak to Ralph. And also, Ralph, the protest is just about to get underway. The numbers don't seem so encouraging. Do you think that the young people and all other persons are getting the seriousness with which Galamsey is and joining this movement that you and your colleagues are on?
We thank John Dramani Mahama so much, that's the least I can say. I think that John Dramani Mahama has exhibited that kind of leadership that Ghanaians can clearly see that fix the country people are not making sense. It is not true that Galamsey is destroying our water bodies. It is not true that our water bodies have been destroyed. All that has been happening on the media, on our platforms, you know, it's not true. Galamsey is really not really in a deplorable state as we call it. So we thank the president, he should keep it up. But all that we are saying is that those that think that this is what will call for some level of you know, enmity or shaming the government or anything. So remember that I have here. Yeah. You can hit me today.
But remember, the future awaits all of us.
That's the least I can say.
As the Fix the Country protests continue, it started just about a couple of hours ago. It's been 2 hours, and we've been moving from Shiashi, in fact, Spanner Junction, right up until Shangri-La now, and 2 hours, 10 minutes. That is all we have done, 2 hours, 10 minutes, and we have barely done 2 kilometers, and quite a small number of protesters, as you say, because everyone you see in the shot is what this protest is about. But really, they have been making the impact felt, and they are doing their best to make sure that this is as maximized as possible. You see some of these kids who were at the vigil yesterday, making their voice heard, stop Galamsey, save the children, no more Galamsey, save the children, stop Galamsey, save the children. They are talking about the devastating impact of illegal mining on them as kids. And yesterday, this young lady and another child spoke at the vigil yesterday to make their point that a lot more needs to be done when it comes to illegal mining. Let me speak to Nadensua. And Nadensua, your voice is always ubiquitous when it comes to this protest. You showed up again. Why are you here?
I am here for the little children's lives. Do they have a future when they are being forced to drink Galamsey water?
And I say, so come home, I bought a Rém0véd. POG Media, the Pana Ghana authentic political headlines are a POG Media, so now, so sabet me, I can't move the echo and the air banana, my Ghana. When I message, also subscribe still to POG Media, and the new book, so I bet your subscription. Now, what's saying off for so and so, it's me, I can't also the echo and the air bar, waiting me. So, Abo, and the other comment section, now also waiting me, in Como. So the Rém0véd, as obey interactive. Remember, news about my Medasi, so Jebre, Naka. POG,